It's sad phone call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Clients, potential clients I've met with chose a different agent, and it was my arch nemesis. Just kidding. Nemesis? No, I'm just kidding. No, this is early in the beginning. It's my first listing presentation. Oh wow! No, it's all right. How many have you done? Just 2. I got one. I lost one. 50%. That's good.
And you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, it still stings a little, but then you just get up and do it again. Yeah. I recently had one last week that was that way. They chose to go another direction. I was just so like surprised.
Yeah.
And was grateful because I don't want to pay more. Like, thank you. And what's the feedback so that I can know how to, they went with, they did. They said that they felt that the gentleman they met with was more decisive than me, which was interesting because I don't think they should. I don't think they should sell. They were asking my opinion. I gave them some ideas. I told them we should do some research and go from there. They didn't think that they were going to be selling. I'm like, great. So let's look at all the options that you guys have. I think this is what we should do, X, Y, Z. So next morning I asked them, actually that next afternoon, I asked them for their email addresses to confirm I had the right email addresses to get them set up on market information. And they said, let's just hold off. We decided to go another direction. And so I asked, but it still stings a little. I get you.
Well, I think you did all the right things though, because like some people want to be empowered to make a decision. I think a lot of people feel that way. And then there are some people who just want you to tell them what to do, I guess. Is that deal?
I think to some extent, and maybe I really was like, I don't know, but it was that they didn't know either. It's fine. I left and I did a Marco Polo after that appointment with a friend she's up in Washington, and I was like, why did I stay so long? They're not gonna sell. They shouldn't sell. They don't. And then I was like, oh, that maybe it was me. Maybe I was putting my own feelings on them. So at what point, like, make sure you evaluate. Maybe there is some better things I could have done. Yeah,
Angie,
it's okay.
Probably doesn't happen to you very often anymore, does it?
Less because I don't go in on interviews. I was surprised that they called. They were an unrepresented buyer on a listing, or I say unrepresented. I think someone on my team did meet them at the open house and they kind of took care of them, but they've always been like very standoffish. So he stayed in my database. She exited right away and was like unsubscribed from things. And it's been 5 years. And I was like, wow, she's reaching out. She put us on a group message, said, hey, we're interviewing agents. We would like to interview you. I thought we connected well. But I don't, most of the time it is straight referral. So it's rare that I go into hard appointments. So if you're at 50% and you're going into a hard appointment, what I learned is I probably am not as skilled when I don't know them, maybe, or that we don't have history, or I don't know. I don't know whether I'd say as skilled. I actually do know. Do you want to know what I think I did? Yeah. If we really sit back and
dial into it.
If I own my mistake, I sat down with them at the kitchen table before we looked at their house, and I think she was offended that we didn't look at her house.
Oh, really?
But I wanted to know more about their situation. I wanted to understand why they had called in the first place, where they wanted to go, so that we could have a real conversation about options to get there. And we didn't end up looking through their house.
Because you didn't think they were going to sell.
And I didn't think we were at that point. If you're like, well, we might be selling, and that I'm like, well, let's find out what your situation is. I want to understand more what you're thinking so that we can help you get there. And if I look back, I should have taken 3 minutes and walked through the dang house, and I would have connected with her in a different way. I think she was like, if I actually, or like, yeah, and been offended that that wasn't a value, because for me, it's not about the house. It's about the people and what they're doing and where they're going and what's happening. But if I'm really honest with myself, I messed that one up.
Well, that's an easy fix next time. That's
yeah.
That's good listening.
Yeah, but
I thought we would have made it there, but we ended up really their situation is fairly complex.
I find it though really respectable that you weren't pushy, that you were like helping them realize.
I don't think it's the way I would, but who knows? And it's okay.
So
I feel
that might help feel better about it. that you
Oh,
weren't
right.
pushing
And I'm
against
busy, so I was like, why'd I even take the call? I don't know. It's
You
all
wanna
good.
know the feedback they gave me?
Yes, I
They
would love it.
said- They said, you were so similar to the other agents. You guys did everything the same. And like you said, all the same things, you made all the same points. And I was like, oh,
And?
that's the problem. I didn't do anything that made me stand out, right?
Oh,
But the other thing they said was, we really fasted and prayed about it. So I lost out on the fasting and praying.
do you know Lee Stern? If you ever get to sit in one of Lee Stern's classes,
Oh, yeah.
she's amazing. And I remember one of her statements was when people get done and they're like, we just need to pray about it. And she leans back and she goes, I'm pretty sure you already did. And that's why I'm here.
Oh,
I'm like, that's why I figured that statement would just really be in alignment with you today.
Yeah, that would.
It may not fit, but if you ever get to take a class with Lee Stern, you do anything to get there. I had 5 minutes in a bathroom with her, and it was the best 5 minutes. I learned so much, and I just love her. I love her. She actually basically started the Salt Lake KW, or was the team leader up there, and she is just incredible. You've taken her classes or no? She's a spicy redhead too. She's older. She's past retirement age, but she's not retiring. She just travels a lot. And her son, Josh Stern, built a team and hired her, but she's just a really great. Her scripts are incredible, and she'll usually teach. I feel like she just taught. Maybe she's about to teach some listing. Check that I'm no longer in charge of the training calendar, so I don't know. So she won't be on Ignite. It'll be a high level class, but you want to go. And sometimes she'll teach on DISC, the personality styles, but she usually teaches on listings. Her listing scripts are just fabulous. And they're just like,
we have some of her scripts in our database.
oh, yeah.
But I
And you can go onto the YouTube and see if there's anything that's recorded. Type in Lee Stern and see if you can pull anything up. And you might have some old classes of hers, but they're all classic and amazing. So good.
I'll send it to you.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys can help take care of all of that. And I know that I want to respect the time that we have today, but you guys, I don't know anyone. I feel bad that I don't know anything. So give me names, who brought you to KW, and how long you've been licensed.
Taylor, Susie Love, this is last Monday.
Woo, you're Taylor, Taylor. What's your last name?
Lynch.
Okay.
Taylor Lynch.
Yeah, I haven't seen your name yet much on WhatsApp. That's where I might
Yeah.
see people interact.
I'm Courtney Huber. I got my license beginning of March, and I actually was brought to KW by the Stern team. They reached out to me because I was, doing my class, and so I interviewed with them a few times and decided that I wanted a lot of what they were offering, but closer to home. So I called Shoni and started meeting with him. And that's how I got this office.
Very cool. And Courtney,
CORTNEY.
CORTNEY. Know you.
So I'm Amy Timont, and I just got my license Friday. And I just heard great things about Keller Williams. I'm friends with Elizabeth Elder.
Elizabeth, it's great.
She's told me great things about it.
I
She's
miss
very
her.
helpful. I love
I miss
seeing her
Ashley
pictures
too.
down there.
There.
And then, I met Devin.
Do you know Jackie? Is that who you walked through with one day?
It was Devin.
Anderson. Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then, I've been friends with Courtney for a long time. And she told me
Oh.
what it was, and
How
she gave
fun.
me lots of tips. So,
You guys all know Scarlett?
yes.
Fantastic.
Scarlett.
Yes.
We do. And so you guys know I'm Angie Fischer. I'm going to be coming up on my 10-year anniversary at KW. So crazy. In my past life, I ran a restaurant. So I ran the Village Inn as a training GM there. So if you're on my Instagram page, you see my cute little picture. My husband and I just celebrated 22 years of being married, and he is the same now as he was then. He he was helping me make pies that day. So I'm like, whether we're selling pies or houses, he seems to always just be such a great supporter. And I ended up coming here. I never planned to sell real estate, to be totally honest. I actually was selling them pies. So yeah, my husband would always be like, you should get your real estate license to save us money. And I'm like, you go do it. And I'm busy. I worked 60 hours a week, loved what I did, loved my village, and loved training. I think it was incredible. And he ended up signing up for school. And when he did, I was like, well, maybe I'll sign up for school. So I signed up for real estate school. It cost $500. I thought I've wasted money, $500 in Wendover pretty fast. So I might as well go learn about real estate. And I was so naive. I thought I'd learn how to save money on my taxes. I don't know what I was thinking, but we went to class at night. Like people go to dance class. We went to real estate school in person, live. That's what we did. And he got his license and I just took the classes. That's all I was doing. And we were at a small brokerage and couldn't get any help writing offers on investment properties. Nobody would even say hello to you, let alone like make eye contact. You would ask and they would literally turn and walk away. It was so bad. And the poor broker really hadn't done a lot of real estate in a lot of years. He was an older gentleman and he tried to help. But of course, none of our offers got accepted. And then my husband went to the class you have to take at UCAR, the new agent and ethics, whatever, that thing. So while he was there, knowing my husband, he's this rough, tough construction worker, lineman kind of guy, calls me. He's like, Angie, he's on lunch break. He's like, I met these agents. They're happy. They're nice. They talk to each other and they're making money. I think we should go talk to their brokerage. And I was like, oh. And so that's why don't keep your mouth shut. You're helping somebody else's life when you influence where they park their license, where they choose to do business. Melissa Downs is who was this girl who reached out to my husband there and was just talking to him. He's like, she said, well, why don't I just set up a meeting with my team leader and you can just get to know if it's a place that would make sense for you. So my husband says we should go meet KW. I'd never heard of KW in my life. I had no idea. And so I packed up my pies and just planned to sell them pies. We met with Johnny that day. He was the team leader at the time. And I learned in that meeting, though, that KW was voted they were the #2 training company across industries worldwide. And what I knew from training at the restaurant is I could teach anyone to pour coffee and flip eights. Like I can do that. I can't teach you to hustle, have integrity, show up, like do the work. But if you gave me somebody like that, I could take a 17-year-old homeless gal and I could turn her into a manager. As long as she showed up and she wanted to be there, I could make that happen. And if they were willing to teach me here, I bet I could sell houses. So I'd been there for 15 years and my husband and I went to dinner that night and it was just clear as day. Talk about like light shine down on the table. I'm like, I think I'm supposed to leave the restaurant. My husband's like, I actually think you are too. So I went to work the next day and gave my notice. I made sure I couldn't take it back. I emailed it to everybody, including the president of the company. So it was like, I'm all in, I'm out. So nobody can argue when you say you're following your true north or praying about it. You're like, I'm like, I've got to follow it. And so I signed up to take my test and I started Ignite July 1st. So Ignite is, I think, one of the most powerful tools that we have. You guys don't know what you have. When we couldn't get a binder, we couldn't get training, we couldn't get anything where we were at, where he was at, we just do stuff together. So, and because even at the restaurant, nobody really trained me. I showed up into a store that didn't really want me when I started. And you just had to read binders. I didn't know how, that's a whole other day, but I didn't know how to do things. I knew that I could make a shake with 4 scoops of ice cream, 4 ounces of milk, an ounce of strawberry puree, and a banana. But no one told me you were supposed to cut the banana up. Like things you learn just doing, right? That's how you guys are. If you like compare like, oh, I read how to do an open house, but no one actually really told me what it was going to be like to put signs out on University Avenue and Center Street or whatever, right? Like you get out there and you're like, I can read about it, but it's not until you're like actually doing it, you're like, oh, okay, so there's shake on the ceiling. All right. Huh. So super grateful to be here now though. That was, yes. You have no idea. And I do still miss the restaurant quite a bit, but.
Can we do a quiz on the sign placements? Like strategically how to do it? Because I'm new to you.
You just gotta go do it. I am a believer, like you learn in the process, but what's that?
I'm a sign queen.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, Scarlett may help you on that.
Do it, and then people, like,
have to
do
be
it during the
strategic.
Say I followed the sign, so I know they're working. But it's like, do you put them before the intersection, like? wait?
Lots, that's the answer. And it was Susie Clyde that gave you that advice. You do 4 per intersection, maybe more.
Oh, on each side. Okay.
I didn't know that.
I heard you guys talking about it one day, but
I heard that you put out double, triple what you think you should.
yeah, just when I started, the 75% of my business my first year came from open houses. I think open houses are the gift from God. I think they're incredible. Because we'll teach you, KW will teach you about the 36 touch and being able to convert your database, but it's going to take you a year to get the result out of that. So in the meantime, you're going to have to be filling it with other things. And the cool thing about open houses is nobody knows you're new as long as you choose to do the research and show up prepared.
So when you tell people, like, let's say you meet someone new, you don't say, I'm a new realtor, you say, I'm a realtor.
You might not even say you're a realtor.
No, it's a house. Like.
No,
ask me, what do you do? I'm
I
like,
sell
"I'm a
real
new
estate."
agent."
No, you're affirming every single time you say I'm a new agent.
No.
I sell
That's
real
fine.
estate. I sell real estate.
I
That
don't
is the
know.
freaking affirmation. I sell real
Wow.
estate.
Real
I
estate.
sell real estate.
I love, thank you.
You're welcome. Like, no, we sell real estate. And let's see if I
That
can
is
make
so
this.
much more
right there.
powerful than saying, oh, I.
Oh, this is what I do. I sell real estate. You got any questions? And you don't even have to say anything. They're going to be like, oh man, how's the market? It's been rough, right? So you have to know what you're going to say next. You got to decide what that sounds like. What do you want? You get to control the narrative and the way that conversation goes. You can be like, yeah, it sucks. Interest rates are horrible. Or like, man, I have to be really strategic in this market to make sure we can find people the very best deal. Like,
The halo's getting brighter, Angie.
I miss teaching you guys. It's been
so
so
good.
good. Last year was a really great year to be able to be, my business was a little bit slower. My team transitioned, several left, and the market was tougher, which gave me the opportunity to be in the coaching role for a little bit. But right now my business is very full, so I don't get to be coaching anymore. So, all right. So this is our little, we're going to keep trying to make our way through that, right? So here's the truth. It's been done in another market and it can be done in your market. We can say the market's tough, but then you turn around and Susie Clyde and Heather Groom are making $1 million last year. What the heck? So is it the market? No, it's not. It's how we show up in the market. And sometimes we have to do things a little bit differently. I can do all the things that I did when I sold our last community, but I'm doing the same work now and I'm not getting the same result. Me and my coach go through this quite a bit. And I'm like, I'm just doing all the work and I'm going to let God take care of the rest. And she's like, is that the truth? Are you doing all of the work you should be doing? I don't know. Let me think through this. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not saying the right things. Maybe I'm not asking the right questions. Maybe I'm not marketing in the right place. We're working on it. We got some houses still. Okay. So we're going to run through. Today is about connecting with your market. Now you guys get to decide who you sell to. What does that look like? So we talked about open houses being the gift of the gods. There's a cool book. It is not a KW sponsored book, but I felt like it's so valuable for new agents. It's called Sell with Soul, SOUL. I don't remember who, I haven't found it on Audible. But it is on Amazon, Sell with Soul. And she talks about how everybody and every personality can be successful in this market or in this business. And I love that because she actually isn't super flamboyant or really out there, but she knows that if she has the right information when people show up, whether she's working at front desk or whether she's working at an open house, they won't know she's new because she isn't showing up as a new agent. So you, instead of just being like, you got to do the work before you get to the open house so you can have the conversations that elevates the conversation compared to somebody else. If they're going to your open house, they're going to 6 others today. They're going to meet 6 other agents. And if all you did was put a sign out and you sit at the kitchen table and tell them to sign in, why would they choose to work with you anyways? Like, you have to decide you want them to work with you and believe yourself too. But so the things you need to make sure before you do that open house is to really know, is it priced right? And your first year, there is no wasting time. You can, the thing is do everything. Sometimes we have these classes and the teachers are like, pre-qualify the buyers and make sure they're pre-qualified before you go to a listing appointment so you don't waste your time. It's not a waste of time. Everything you do, you're going to learn, right? If you're showing houses for somebody, or you're showing an unqualified buyer a house, you're going to learn how to set up the appointment. You're going to learn how to show the house. You're going to learn how to use the super. You're going to learn all the things that are tough, and it's not a waste. Even if they can't buy, it's not a waste. You got to realize you're in internship mode right now. So you have to accept every chance you have an opportunity, even if you're not going to get paid for it. That's part of internship. You guys ever watch Grey's Anatomy? My kid wants to be a doctor. She's graduating right now and going into pre-med stuff, and it just kills me. But there's so much work that doctors do. They go to school for how long? And then they have to do all of their rotations and all this before they ever make money. But we get our real estate license. We spend our $500 to go to school, and we're like, why am I not making 10 grand? I don't get it. Accept it, that right now you're still in school, and say yes to every chance, yes to every opportunity. And you really want to go shadow agents. And I'm just going to give you guys a bunch of advice today. So hopefully we make it through our class. But people are like, hey, I want to shadow you. You have to give them a reason to, because it takes energy and time for them to even let you shadow. So you got to be willing to do things for them. So go show for free, because you'll still gain experience by showing for free. And then they will call you, or they'll say, yes, come on my listing appointment with me. Yes, come stage this house with me. Yes. And just the time with them is going to be valuable. So be willing to work for free, and that, or less, right? Whatever that looks like, so that you can do that work with people who are producing, and it's internship time. Just, and then they call you versus somebody else that will show for $25, $30, $50 a door, or whatever it is. But if you're showing for free, when they need help, they'll call you first. And it's worth it. Then you'll be the path of least resistance when they need an open house, when they're too busy that they're going to split leads, or they may not be hiring on their team, but it's like, if you go close this deal, I'll just take a piece of it. You go close it. I don't have time for it. So that's my 2 cents.
You can't really ask people who have a team like you to shadow someone like you.
The thing is that but if you ask to shadow, you are doing an ask. You got to come from contribution. So you're way in for whoever, even for somebody like me that has a team, it's still like, hey, I just want you to know I'm willing to do whatever you need. If you need a key box put out, if you need a sign installed, if you need whatever it is, you call me, I'll help. And you do that first, and then you ask to shadow, because if not, you're asking to take. Somebody once talked about Oprah Winfrey, and she said, I really hate when people walk up to me at an event and they go, oh, I would just love it if you mentored me. She's like, instead, take that opportunity and ask an interesting question that we can have a conversation about right there. And then you actually are being mentored in that moment instead of an ask. So thinking about what that would be, or what you really want to talk about in real estate, instead of just asking them to just figure out what you want to know. Does that make, like, it was one of the coolest insights when she shared that. I was like, oh, so every time you have that chance, have questions in mind.
For instance, I overheard Susie Clyde talking about her frustration of the sale that she just had and how angry she was at some of the new agents and, you know, how they just are flakes. And I'm going, oh my gosh, my Heavenly Father, what can I do? What can I do? And I raced back downstairs, so I went up and she was downstairs and I ran downstairs. I said, Susie, I said, we barely met. I said, I'm Scarlett Wilkinson. I said, I will scrub toilets for you. I will do anything for you. I said, if I can help you in any way, I said, I just want to shadow you. I said, just, I'll do anything.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, let me get your number.
And when
So
the
I
time
started
comes,
working with her.
they will. Like,
Yeah.
that's the pieces that I don't know if you guys know Jordan Larson, but he was in an Ignite class. I gave him all homework. Jordan Larson, curly hair. He may not be around this brokerage as much anymore. He's out doing flips and sits on boards and was Susie's position for a while. He does all sorts of stuff, but his first deal, he was the only one who did the homework in the Ignite class. So when I was busy, I had this investor who was hard to work with. And I was like, hey, can you go show this house? If you can get this under contract, we'll just go 50-50 on it. And that was his first deal. He went and closed it. And I couldn't have gotten there. And I didn't want to deal with that investor. He's a pain in my rear. We had closed another deal and he was so hard. And Jordan went and took care of it. And I was totally happy to like, just go do that, you know? And so those first of people, as they get started, Luke gets in that dang trailer that was the death of him.
He's happy. But all these horrible things build you.
Well, you just learn. There's no mistakes. You just learn. That's the thing is like it's going to take you 6 times of hearing something to retain it at 75%. You just got to put yourself, and it will be in direct proportion to how much you put in. That is very, very real. We also can't expect to make CEO wages and work 20 hours a week part-time and wonder why we didn't accomplish that. And such a blessing that we have that opportunity here. When I first left the restaurant that first year, I made within $10 what I made at the restaurant. I mean, talk about a financial thermostat. I know my husband probably would have killed me if I didn't. And it was good money. I was very proud. It was like $56,000, $700. For somebody who I was like left high school young, I left it after my sophomore year, ended up graduating from an adult high school. To make $56,000 was a big deal. I was so grateful for Village Inn. And then to turn around and be able to be like, okay, that was the first year. 2015 was more like 107,000. 2016 was more like 250,000. 2017 was more like 350,000. Like our ability to go do what we do and help people in their lives is huge. And we can't take it lightly. It doesn't just happen because we decide to show up part-time and kind of work. Like I worked more that first year. I probably was working. I was, what did Shoni call it? Cheating. You guys listen to Cameron's interview. I do cheat. I do work more than 40 hours a week to make income. I'm cheating all the time. I'm cheating the system because I have to work more to get it accomplished. And I'm so grateful, so grateful, so grateful. So, okay, you guys, we got to make our way through this. So, and we can't take it lightly. We have to be so grateful we get this opportunity. It's so cool. And not everybody wants to sell their house. It's fine. It still sucks. So I feel you. It still just burns a little and you're like, and it's okay. Because I shared with them my 2 rules. I don't work with jerks and I only work with people who want to work with me. And if you don't, it's okay. You just have to tell me. So I can't be mad. I asked. And I'm so grateful. Okay, you guys, we're talking about the market today because today we're connecting with our market. And the market can be, you guys will sell what you know about. If you want to sell $1 million houses, then you need to learn about $1 million houses. And it doesn't matter if you want to sell trailers, sell trailers. That's okay too. I'm gonna have an awesome trailer come on the market this probably in the next month. Our little seller, born in 1926. She's such a rock star.
The mobile it's 1926.
My cute little gal is 98 years old. Finally moving into assisted living. So
Is she really coherent?
she's pretty good. She has a nephew that's helping out too, but it's gonna be great. So we sell trailers and we sell $1 million houses. I'll sell whatever it is. I'll help you. They all get the same treatment. The trailer will still get a 3D tour. The trailer will still get drone work. It just is. Everybody in my life, they're the same. So I might not always connect with $1 million sellers because sometimes some of them want to feel different than if they're selling a trailer. Yeah. So as far as the market that we're in, you guys have heard about a buyer's market, a balanced market, and a seller's market. Kind of, if you're new, a little bit. Okay, so do you guys think we're in a buyer's market right now, seller's market, or balanced? My fancy little, these are my slides. These are all right. I actually think depending on your price point, we're either sellers or balanced. Yes, because as we look, we're going to look at some of the stuff. I pulled some of the information from my last buyer's class that we did. So what's interesting is our price point. What's hard is if you're under 500,000, people still have. So Natalie Kelly, am I thinking that? Her listing had, I think, 32 showings in 2 days. Jeez. She's under 500,000. She's priced well. It shows good. All of a sudden, that is a strong seller's market. If we're over on the other side and we're looking at, and it depends on how you're priced and things, but if we're looking at a 800 to 1.2 million, I actually think 800 is not great. I think 800, it depends on where you're priced at in general, but I don't think it's as strong. So I want you guys to talk about what inventory looks like. We're going to look at.
Angie, what would you say? I saw
This one?
something that said 6 months.
I changed it because I think it's crap. We won't be in 6 months ever again. And I'll show you in a minute why I believe that. 3 months is my belief. And it's because let's actually run through. I'm going to skip over to, this is US inventory. We have, and this is on a US level, we're at 3 months worth of inventory. The only time we've seen 6 months worth of inventory has been, it hasn't been since 2011. And this is on a US level. And I'm happy to share slides too, but what I want to show you is in Utah. This is on the MLS. This is an absorption rate. So as I talk to sellers and I talk about what that looks like, you guys just get some of my scripts. That's why I have to stand up and I can't sit down and have this conversation the same way. What happens is absorption rate, it's a term that real estate agents use, but what it is, it's something we watch. This is what number of how long do we have before we're out of houses if we sell houses at the current rate we're selling and no new homes come on the market. If we stopped getting homes on the market today, how long would it be before we're out? So that's our absorption rate or number of months of inventory. This is super easy one that you guys can pull off of the MLS. We can play with that another time. Maybe I'll do a quick video of what that looks like. It takes me less than 30 seconds to get this number. But what I want to show you guys, what we're going to look at is if we look at the last 12 months, it's an average of 2.3 months worth of inventory. If I only average the last 2 months, we're at 1.35 months worth of inventory. So as I'm showing a seller this or a buyer this, what I know is we are actually trending down. We are losing inventory. It is getting tighter and tighter, and the data supports it. And it's an important thing for them to have that realization is it's getting smaller and smaller. And so when we look at 6 months, people look at that slide and they think I'm nuts. It's stupid. We're not even close to 6 months. So I feel like 3 months, when we're at 3 months, we're feeling fairly balanced. And again, that's an Angie term. I know everyone tells you 6 months. I think it's junk. I think that there's no way. It just seems so ridiculous. I haven't in my whole career seen 6 months worth of inventory. But back in 2019, we were balanced and we were at 3 months. So, yeah. Should I go back? Yep.
What do you mean with the different months going to the right?
Okay. Yep. So all that is an average of those. So if we took how long, so if I look at the last 12 months and I average that out, but if I only look at just the last 6 months and average that out, that's why this is so interesting to me, because it really does show you we are trending tight. And what we know is the difference between supply and demand. And when supply is low, demand is high, when supply is low, prices are high. So when people are like, I'm waiting for the market to crash, I show them this. I'm like, how long are you going to wait? Because it's not crashing. This is going to be tougher and tougher and tougher if we're not careful. Now, you know what is interesting is there was a point in time in 2022. So I talked a lot with that seller about this. I gave them all my data. No, it's fine. In 2022, we actually really, the market was tough. If you would like, what took place is we went from 3.5% interest rates. Our interest rates started to rise. Okay. We also went from no inventory. We were only 0.6 months worth of inventory back then. So less than a month. It was like 2.5 weeks worth of inventory. And then interest rates started to rise. Besides interest rates rising, so buyers fell out of, they were no longer able to qualify for what they could qualify for. And the monthly payments started going crazy. Any seller that was waiting to put their house on the market did. What happened from April, we had about 2,500 homes on the market, to June, we had over 10,000 homes on the market. So you felt it. It was like, boom. And it just went, everything stopped. We still were selling, but because of the number of homes coming on the market increased by so much, because sellers were like, oh crap, now's our time, get it out there. And everybody started throwing it on and people stopped buying. It just was this hope that happened right then. So that summer was tricky. It didn't take long for them to absorb back down. We're down to, all right. So at the end of, this is December 8th, 2023. And these numbers that I'm pulling, do you guys get Dean's, I think he calls it a Fify, F-I-F-Y email? I just take, this is from his email. He sends it every week. We don't even have to pull the data. We just have to look at it. Susie just, actually a bunch of them screenshot it and just put that on their Instagrams and their Facebook as their market stuff. Dean asked me if he thought he should put the time into that email. And I'm like, actually, I think the only thing people read is the stats that's in it, but keep doing it. Cause I screenshotted several high producers that use his data, and I know I use it. So I think that's worth it. All the other stuff, it's a lot of stuff to read. I don't have the capacity to put that in. I might scroll through it, but this gets touched and opened quite a bit. What I want to show on this is back in December, about 5 or 6 months ago, there was 8,700 homes on the market. And as of my buyer class that we did, we had 7,600. So all of a sudden, that's a 10% decrease in number of homes available. There's other things that you can look at on these really quickly. Like when we talk about connecting with our market, there's some simple things that we can see. 943 were under contract and 1,300 are now under contract. So we have, so these are talking points. Very simply, you can say we have 400 more homes on the 400 more homes under contract today than we did 6 months ago. So being able to see data and then talk about the data, for me, that's where my scripts come from. Is I'm very data heavy supportive. So the other thing though, is we're up 10 days on market. So when people are like, how is it? Well, honestly, we have less homes on the market, but we are seeing that they are still staying on the market just a little bit longer, depending on how they're priced. As far as this is our list price versus sold price, list price versus sold price. So we're a little close, about the same on that, not too much. You're just a little different there. I'm going to show you something else that you're going to go. The next slide.
Good foreshadowing.
These are just slides I used in my buyer class. So this is actually not like Ignite slides, but I figured it would be what we're talking about. So this is last year, basically the same week. Couple of things, but one thing that I wanted to point out to my buyers in my buyer class is they're being listed about the same price. Last year at this time, though, you could have gotten $10,000 in concessions and you could have asked for $10,000 lower. I mean, there's a difference of $25,000 there. That's like the biggest difference. Is our price actually hasn't, our list price hasn't changed very much in the last year, but sellers are getting closer to 100% of their ask. Interesting. And it's not until you see the data that you can prove it of what that might look like. It's super interesting. Yay, picture worthy. It's going on Instagram.
Like, why can't I ask for concessions now? Like, how does
I show them that slide.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Yeah, that's really.
Well, I was just gonna say I can't use the listing piece for it. Some is just supply and demand, and the different pieces that even in this tough market, last year at this time that house sold for $470. It would sell for $495 today. So even in the toughest market, that is still, just a second, I have another thing that's going to pop up. Haha, it's still a 5% increase. So that means that's 5% of equity buyer that you lost out on, but seller, it just is what it is. There's less inventory available and people are getting used to interest rates. That's part of it as well. They're getting used to it, what interest rates are, and there's not the same demand. Now, this is basic. That doesn't mean 100% buyer. It's going to depend because a seller can list their house for anything they want. No one. So we can say that it is going to be specific on each house. So not every house has multiple offers on it right now. It depends on how it's priced and how it shows. So I can't tell you 100% till we find the house as to what I'd recommend you offer. If that house was listed at 600,000 and had been on the market for 120 days, we have option. But buyer, if you need closing costs, I recommend be careful, because if you're watching that market and you see this super great house hit the market on day one and it's priced right and it smells good and it looks good, you and 40 other buyers are going to be interested in it, and we can go offer on it, but it's not likely we're going to get those closing costs. So if you need closing costs buyer, you can still win in this market, but you're going to need to be more flexible, more open to where you're looking. And we need to look at homes that have been on the market 14 plus days instead. So I just want to help you have the right expectation, because I want you to win in this market. I don't want you to get frustrated and disappointed. Don't worry, they're still going to call you on the super cute house that has a line out the door for the open house, and they're going to want to put an offer on it. And then they just have to go through that process. They'll lose, they'll understand, and it's okay. Still write the offer. Anytime anyone ever asks me, is it still worth writing an offer? We write an offer no matter what. I never tell them I'm too busy to write their offer. They cared enough, we write it. I don't care how crappy it is. I don't care. I'll try and advise them. Write it every time. All right. Interest rates. Understanding what interest rates are and getting creative. What's challenging for lenders right now is that, like for me, I am working a lot with D.R. Horton because they have locked rate loans that are good. I think they just barely went up to 5.99, but they were at 4.99 for a little bit. So when people are like stressed, that's my first thing is like, can I sell your old house and get you into a brand new house with a locked rate interest loan? Yes. Check with builders, check with, like, be creative and go find what else is out there. When we did our buyer class with the team, the coaching team, I think, I can see his face. Dave went through and actually sourced, it was like 12 different builders or 12 different ones that had really great incentives, whether it was 2-1 buy downs, 20,000 towards closing costs, locked rate loans. Like there's a lot of different ones out there. You got to read it on the MLS. But if you find one, call and get a person with that builder. So like, they might know of others that aren't listed or other communities that you're not seeing. And so they also have to be open, right? So the buyer has to be open that if they're going to be able to qualify. A lot of times I might be working with people who can't, who are just not, they didn't fall from like the rich tree. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, are you willing to move to City Center, Eagle Mountain, so that you guys can own instead of rent your townhouse? You're spending $2,400 a month to rent in Lehigh. Can we get you to Eagle Mountain and then you can start to build your own equity? You have to be willing to. If you're not, then you might just get stuck because I can't get you in your spot, or Saratoga or wherever. Try and make that work. Partly, this is what interest rates look like when I did I'm just going to skip that because I just don't think it's as impactful. But I want to show you this. This came from the MLS. And this is a slide that I put together back. It was when interest rates were shifting from 4.5%, no, I meant 4%, 5.5%, and 6.5%. And the reason that I actually used this slide while I was listing when we were getting all those homes on the market at that time, because I needed sellers to know, I don't know if I have things that'll circle here, we'll try. I needed sellers to know how it impacted the buyer's monthly payment. This is a $400,000 sales price. This is 4% interest rate. This is just, if you guys haven't used the MLS, the loan calculator on the MLS, it's good. It's probably one of the most accurate ones I have, as long as you have your property tax and homeowner stuff. But I did a $400,000 purchase price across the board, 0% down, just so I could be the same across the board. This was a specific seller that I was working with to help them understand that just because their home was worth $400,000 6 months ago, people do not buy the price, they buy the monthly payment. This buyer who was looking at your house 6 months ago, their monthly payment was $2,200 a month. And we just jumped in 6 months. Now their monthly payment went up $600 a month. So seller, you gotta realize you might not get what you got 6 months ago. We can try, but the real reality is they are buying this. And we got to figure out what that looks like. And they were good. They priced well. So we got multiple offers. They understood it. And I think if you can't help them understand it, it's hard for them to realize it. And our pricing, this isn't a seller class, but our pricing can change. And they maybe didn't love that I didn't give them an exact price. I said, I mean, in my gut, 800, but you might be 900. But my problem is I'm giving you information and you are making life-changing decisions based on the numbers. So if it works at 800, it'll still work at 900. But if I let you go on the market and I tell you I think it's worth 900 or 950, and then I make you drop your price because we didn't do it and you had to tip yourself upside down, that would suck. So I was wishy-washy in price. I'm like, but 800 solid. You'll be multiple offers. You'll be great, whatever that is. You know, I built that floor plan. I sold that house and I liked it. I took that floor plan and I had that builder come and build my house. I'm a little like, oh, it's fine. I didn't need to see their house. I'd already seen their house. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. We'll wallow together. No.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Oh, yeah. That was
So good.
so
We were
good.
talking about Lee Stern, and she says when somebody says they need to pray about it or whatever, she's always like, she leans back and she goes, I'm pretty sure you already did, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, thank you.
Crazy kids.
I have a question
yeah.
before we move on. I just haven't followed the market the last couple of years. I just know interest rates have been high. What would you say, like, any idea, like a year ago?
Yeah, actually, so when we were talking about that one home, the 470 versus 494, interest rates were a little bit lower, and I had him actually, not by much, they were 6s, but the difference of the monthly payment, I had him run it. It's the difference of $300 a month last year versus this year. Same home, because it's gone up in price. And, you know, interest rates are tricky. We can't control them. It just is. The difference is people are getting used to it. People 2 years ago were like, I'll just stay in this little 2-bed, 1-bath condo over here. I don't care that we have 3 kids. We'll just wait. Well, 2 years later, they're like, I can't just keep waiting. I just have to do it. So we have to figure out, how can we help them do it? What are the options? Like, you're right. Like, you maybe wanted to move into a 4-bed, 3-bath, 2-car garage. Are you guys okay with the 3-2? Can you go without the garage? Do you want to stay here, or is it worth it to get on the real estate ladder and start building? Like, real estate changes normal people's lives. I feel so passionate about it. There's no question in my mind that the most important thing they can do to stabilize their life is to buy their first house. 100%. And then if they can buy their first investment, great. But I watch it change people's lives. I didn't include those in our slides, but in our buyer class, we talk about Andrew. You guys get to see my cute little Andrew that hangs out with me all the time. So quiet. He's a cool hippie, but he was one of the managers that I trained at the restaurant. He worked at one of the other stores. They sent him in and we trained him and he went back. Well, in 2014, he bought his first house, and not with me. It's fine. But he used the Utah housing loan. Not a great loan. It's a 0% down, high interest rate. It has a second mortgage, all of the things. However, I just even want to show it on here because I would love to be able to show how we break it down for people. He kept that house for 2 years and made about $50,000. He then could take that, and we helped him sell that. He bought another home and was able to take that money and get a good loan, 10% down, conventional, good. You have to sometimes be willing to take a Utah housing loan because you have to get on the real estate ladder. That's like the only way. So he made $50,000 in 2 years. Do you think he could go to his boss and ask for a raise like that? That's $2,000 a month. There's no way. Well, he stayed there for 4 more years, picked up about $100,000 in equity. We helped him challenge his mortgage insurance. He got that dropped. We ended up selling that house, and he bought a little condo kind of like this, but down in Provo. He held on to $100,000 in equity that he put as a nest egg that he could have. And then he put 20% down. His monthly payment, $700 a month, where he's at. Freaking awesome. To a point where he stayed working at the restaurant for a little while, but finally was like, you know what? I actually don't want to work here. And quit last year. And it was fine. Like, he hangs out with me now, but he started actually just doing my birthday cards and hanging out and doing stuff. He's just an interesting kid, but it gives you choices. But it changes people's lives. We work a lot with the people from the restaurant, a lot.
You're so inspiring.
Oh, my heart hurts. We recently lost one of we lost one. So I shouldn't have gone down that path.
Sorry.
He, yeah. Trying to help his daughter through selling his house, but he barely got to make a payment on it before he was shot and killed. And I was like, oh, it was like, these people, you change their lives though. We helped his mama get out of the West Valley, like hood. Half her house didn't even have heat, and helped her get out of that just gunk. It's such a bad neighborhood to move into a beautiful family neighborhood in Eagle Mountain where she can raise granddaughters there and make it like there are like it changes their lives. Oh, it do matters, you guys. It does. Okay. Oh, ay.
I feel that. I just want so badly to help this one lady, and I was talking to Dean about it on Friday, and he gave me some really good advice. He's like, stay in your lane. Cause I'm like, I want to just like help her with her, asking, her landlord to give her, a month to month so that we have her on a plan. I just am so excited to help her get out of the hood.
Yeah.
And she's a first time home buyer. She's like my age. And she's so excited about her first home. And I'm like, how do you stay in your lane and like really help? Like I really
And you gotta also always realize he is the broker, and he will always err on the side of caution. And I'm not gonna tell you to ever go against what he'd say. I'll give you 2 pieces of advice. One, every time I get into trouble and I'm like, hate my job, it's because I didn't stay in my lane. I overstepped and I made a poor choice, and it wasn't mine to make. And sometimes you got to do what you have to get them there. So I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't. I kind of listened to your guys' conversation that day, and I'm like, Dean is so cautious. Just don't go do it for her.
Yeah.
Make sure she has skin in the game. But there's been times I've done stuff that I'm like, that's not my job. I shouldn't have carpet cleaned when I was trying to save my sell her some money, and then it turned out horribly. And the other agent was so mad at me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I just have to call my boss and get my job back. Why am I doing this job? I'm so bad at this job.
We go help people pull their feet. They're like,
We do a lot. There's a lot that we do.
Cause you hear about that, it's like go the extra mile.
No,
That's
I
all.
think that's I think that's.
Follow your heart,
Yeah.
take your mind. That's like been my favorite saying lately. Follow your heart, take your mind.
You can stay in your lane, but like don't
She was,
Stay in your lane professionally, but
So-
then it's a personal thing, go pull their feet.
and the other side is the difference of that is like, don't write the email for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the difference is,
Yeah.
hey, maybe, and use words like maybe, in my experience, you may want to check with. So in my experience, when he asked about what happens if they ask you about taxes, or when I talk a lot about taxes. Taxes is the other way. You're going to get the biggest raise you can ever get if you can get rid of your taxes. And in my experience, this is what I know, but I recommend you talk to an accountant as well. We share those things. In my experience, I've had landlords be willing to help, especially if you're trying to get into your first home. Why don't you try? These are some things I might say. Might, may, kind of, but still don't write the email for it because it's not yours.
Yeah, we did it together using ChatGPT. Is that still staying in my lane? And
I'm not the broker.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Dee.
I
Like, I wanna
so
know
often
what I
will
should
do the stuff, and a lot of times it works, and every once in a while stuff you're like, oh, it wasn't mine. I shouldn't have done it. I can't tell you right or wrong. Because we're here to help. We're battling the man. We got to get these kids into what they need.
Well, okay, what were you referring to as stay in your lane? Like what was happening?
So
Because it's a legal deal. She's not a
Oh.
property manager.
Yeah, and I just, as a new agent, I need to know where my lane is, because you hear these these big top agents are talking about what they do. You know, they'll go above and beyond. That's what sets them apart. That's what makes somebody really trust them. And so I genuinely feel this lady, like I can feel her pain, and she's a single mom of 5, and I'm, we have a lot in common that way, but I just have this, anyway. So as we're sitting there in a meeting, I guess the way I presented it to him, he's like, stay in your lane. But what I failed to say at the beginning was, oh no, Jake from Aries was there, and he was the one creating this plan for her. So then I had to backtrack and then give him more information. But at the end of that, I said, please tell me what that lane looks like so that I know exactly what to do.
And he might give me more grace than you because he doesn't know your experience, and he doesn't want you to be out in the Wild West doing crazy things. So for new agents, he's always going to go and rein you in, because it's like, oh man, what are they doing? What are they saying? I'm responsible for you. Where there's been times where we have history and experience. And there's still times he's like, what are you doing, Angie? But in general, like, you got to work your way through it. And sometimes we do. I probably am doing too much on my communities and have committed to too much up front of all of our costs. And we are pouring into all the stuff that we're doing. I don't know. I hope it all works itself out, but we're gambling. Like, if I do this, will we sell the 70 homes? I hope. I keep praying. We'll find the right people who are supposed to be in our community. It'll be okay. We'll find the right people. Other economic factors. So we're going to keep plowing for you guys' sake as well, because I got lots of data. Okay, Utah's different. We are just different here, okay? This is Utah's unemployment rate. The purple is the unemployment rate across the nation. Utah is less. You can look year over year over year. We have a great population here. I have my own theories of this. I personally believe that companies love to be here. I think we have an amazing workforce that knows how to work. We probably, and this is just probably, I can't prove it, but I believe we have more bilingual individuals who were in our culture, taught how to go do door-to-door sales, and we're also taught how to do public speaking at ages 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have an amazing workforce for businesses to come in here. Like, it's just different. Our culture is different here, like it or not, isn't it? But it's cool. Like, if you think about it, there's some really smart people. This is just a graph that talks about rents. So they experienced 34% growth in metro areas, and we are in that spot. My husband and I, we have rentals down in Florida and have just like, it has been crazy to see our rents go. And then Utah area, where are we at? Right here. You can see those. So rents in general, you guys all know, are crazy. This is a slide I use in my buyer class. We don't need to stay there a real long time. This slide is just showing that Utah County rents surpassed Salt Lake rents. Right? Utah County surpassed.
Was Salt Lake more?
Yeah. Then people are always like, I think I should have another slide that I don't have in here for some reason, but people are always like, well, Angie, I want to wait for foreclosures and short sales. But what this slide shows is back in March 2010, this is how many homes were underwater. That meant that they owed more than it was worth. Okay. 2011, 2012. Well, as of March 2022, we have less than 2% of homes are underwater. So do you think when people talk about this time, this is what they're remembering for foreclosures and short sales? We just do not see them. The data does not support that we're going to have foreclosures and short sales. And it's because we've come from, same thing, this shows less than 1% of distressed sales here. And it's because there's equity in the homes. They're not going to go into foreclosure because they're going to call me, we're going to sell it, and they're going to capture the money. Just recently, I helped a friend of mine, her mom, she didn't want to call me because of the way her mom lived. And the house was just smelled like smoke. Nothing had been fixed for years and years. She took over the house from maybe her parents. Maybe she had substance issues and things, but her house was, they were going to be on her front doorstep doing a tax sale. And so Taylor Frampton's team, if you ever have a house that's gross, call him. He was so good to work with. It was incredible. They came, did a cash offer for her. We closed within about a week. And they let her just take whatever she wanted and walk away from it. And she walked away with $130,000.
Wow.
So
you didn't sell it, you just referred it to Taylor, or
I got paid on it. So I just got paid the listing amount. I didn't get paid I chose not to take the buyer amount on it. And it got closed fast and easy. And now her daughter took the income, set up an account, and is helping her through that. But it's like, we've had several that they don't go into foreclosure. Someone's going to buy it before that. Because if they go into foreclosure, you're going to lose the money. Like, they're just not dumb. They're just not. They're just not good. There'll be a few. The other difference is, you guys know what a short sale is. So talking with a client, I talked to them about short sales too. The problem is, people think short means it's fast. It's not. Short means that the bank is going to take a short on what they're owed. The problem is the bank still wants market value. So even though they owe $500,000, market value is $450,000. The bank takes that short of $50,000, but they want market value. You're actually not getting a smoking good deal. You're going to pay market value for it, and you're going to jump through all of the hoops, and it's going to suck. So that's usually my script for people who ask about that. Oh, more stuff about why Utah is unique. We'll run through this. These are slides from a buyer class. 12th most favorable employment growth. We're the youngest median age, still the largest household, second lowest poverty rate. We're the second highest median household income, 8th lowest unemployment rate, and more Utahns work. We have the first highest labor force participation. Our market is strong, and it's going to continue to stay strong. We have really solid GDP. Basically, what that means is we have lots of diversity in our businesses. We're not just an automobile area. We're not just industrial. We're not just tech. We have a really diverse GDP. We were voted, WSJ was voted Salt Lake City as the #1 hottest job market in the US. With all of that, then I always ask, so when is the right time to buy? When I'm talking about that with I'm going to go with buyers. The thing is that all of this happens, right? Interest rates go up, inventory is crazy, pricing is crazy, and we can try to time the market, but don't. Because if you do, you will make poor decisions for your family. If you were waiting and waiting and waiting for interest rates to go down because you were trying to time the market, or you were waiting for the market to crash out, all of a sudden you wait and you wait and you wait, and you're doing this because you're feeling like, I have to do this. But if you step back from all of those things and just let's talk about what's important for your family, let's talk about what your goals are, and then let's prepare so that we can do it the right way. You can negotiate well. We're not emotionally charged. What I don't want you to do, buyer, is you get the idea that you want to buy a house, you drive around, you find the house that you love and your wife loves, and now you will do whatever it takes to get her that house. That's how you get upside down. That's how you buy poorly. And my job is to get you in the best financial position. So what we need to do is we don't need to buy today, but we need to get started today. We need to talk to a lender today. We need to get you in the best negotiating position so that you can make a wise financial decision and not an emotional decision. And I know that story I told you was my first home. I lost. Went into foreclosure. I drove around. I was 17, 18. Was I 18 by then? Yeah. I'm on my second life. And I found this house that I loved. And I did anything I could to get into it. And it was the worst decision I could have made. And it was just horrible.
You were 18 when you bought your first house? That's pretty amazing.
It was, we were kids back then. This is, I've been married 22 years, but I got married when I was 17. I was married for a couple of years. So by the time I was 19, I was $250,000 in debt. I had filed bankruptcy. I had bought a house. I owned a business, and I then ended up in my car. Like by the time everything got said and done, and finally went back to my mom, I was like, I think I effed my life up. So, and somehow Village Inn, you guys, God totally like saved me with Village Inn. I can't even tell you.
It's not a waste of time.
No, we learned so much. So much.
You need to write a book. Yeah. That does sound like a rough way to start though. Like you probably were.
It was crazy. And I look at my daughter who's 18, who believes she knows everything and is naive. That's how I was. I was like, I can do all of this. She's driving me crazy right now. She graduates. Hopefully she graduates in 2 weeks. She has 2 art credits that she's trying to do online. She has 41 college credits, but she is not graduating because she doesn't have 2 art credits.
Is she doing East Shore?
I don't even know. I'm not in charge of it. It's hers. I have no idea where she's getting her credits. It's not my job. I'm just trying to have faith. 41 college credits. She'll have 2 years of college done. She listened to me too, because I was like, I couldn't stay with the kids. It was so hard for me to be there. And I left, and you should just stay. They will pay for everything. You will move your life so much further if you can stay enrolled in high school and capture as much knowledge as you can. And as much credit and as much, I mean, she'll also have, besides that, she'll have her medical assisting certificate too. She's a little worker now. She fell off. She crashed back when she was 15, 16. And yeah, I'm proud of her. You have to. I feel like it does. And I heard my parents at that time in my voice to her. It's like, and then I was like, you're not done. Get back in here. You know, I almost let her leave, and I'm glad I didn't. All right. Other things, other market information. I feel like I have more. No, hang on. We're going to go back. Yeah, please do.
So great. You were saying, someone saying, they're not ready. You said, you don't need to buy today, but we need to prepare you today so you can make a wise financial decision. And what were those steps like?
We need to, let's talk to a lender. Let's sit down and start watching the market. we shouldn't actually go in any homes, but let me go ahead and get you set up on some alerts. We can watch what's happening. And that's important that we start to watch it, because then you'll know what a good deal looks like when it comes.
You set up alerts for them. or
So-
for you to send to them?
Depends on where they're at in their space. So most of the time, lately I've been doing more direct to make sure it's happening, so it's leverage for me. But in most of my career, I've had it always come to me and I send it to them. And that way, and I have the hot sheets come to me and then I text them the good ones. If we're really a year or 2 years out, I do recommend that you put them on direct. And I just do it through the MLS. I know that I have a website and we have the KW app and everything else, but the MLS is great. It's clean data. It's direct information. And you guys, like, it just goes straight to them. And then you get it too. So I have some people, village people, that are looking at trying to buy land. So we helped her get into, same thing though, like we helped her get into that house. She was one of the 17-year-old kids that you're like, come work for us or whatever. And then now she's a pharmaceutical something. She makes a ton of money. I'm so proud of her. But she got into her first house as a single gal 3.5 years ago. Well, now she's got, I don't know, $300,000 equity in that house. So cool. They want to start a business and do some stuff, but they're a ways out. So I just set them up to where it goes to them. And then anything that's really good, I'll text them. If someone's active, like we know we're going to buy in the next 90 days, I would have it sent to me and then to them. But if I am just trying to help them get ready, those are great. It just gives them a context on what it looks like. And when you first sit down with a buyer and you do a buyer consult and you pull up what's active on the market, it's going to be junk because everything's under contract. That's good. So a lot of times I then take what's active and I just flip the search to under contract. So we start with that and then we flip to under contract and I show them, I'm like, these houses aren't available. They're under contract, but you know what this is? This is hope. This is what could be. These are the kind of things that it's going to look like this. And so it gives us perspective on what that might look like. Because when that very first initial sitting down and they're like, they will be so sad because there's nothing on the market that's in their budget that's not gross. Like it's rough. So then you're like, but that's why we have to get ready. Let's call Jake. He can make sure there's nothing funky on your credit. Because a lot of times people might even have fraud on their credit that they don't know about, and we need to get it cleared. And if you can he can also give you some quick, simple tips and tricks to get your credit score up. Jake with Aries, he can give you some quick tips and tricks to get your credit score up, which is going to impact what you can get on your interest rate. So if we do this now, you can get the best loan in the future. So I love working with people just like you who want to get prepared. I can tell you're not ready to buy right now. Let's get ready. And then once they get approved, you will be 90 days or less. They'll say 6 months to a year, but once they get the process started, they're ready to go. When they can see it. Yeah.
Super helpful. And Jake has been very helpful. If you guys haven't met with him,
Let me see if I have.
Sit down and he'll say, okay, now we're going to run through a what if scenario. And he's like, what if you did this, this, and this to clear up your credit? You could qualify for a loan in 3 months. And he did that with my daughter because her and her husband are looking to buy, but they don't have like the income, but they have really good credit. And so he needs to raise his income. They're both like really young graduates. And then he met with this other lady, this potential buyer. He said, if you pay off this credit card and this credit card.
I wish you were being recorded. Somebody else should hear how cool Jake is.
Anyway, so Jake and me and this lady, Mia, sat down in this room and she was really self-conscious about her credit. And he said, we ran through it. We did a soft pull of her credit and it was a moment of truth for her. And that's what these buyers need, is a moment of truth, because that's their starting point. Once they know it and they feel it and they feel the shame and they, if they have bad credit, he's like, hey, now we're going to run through a what if scenario. What if you paid off this credit card and this credit card and you got a co-signer? You could qualify for a loan in 3 months. And all of a sudden she's like, I could own my own home.
you know, and most of the time, people who think they have bad credit, it's actually probably not as bad as they think.
Yeah, hers was pretty bad.
I don't have the screenshot here, but in my buyer class, I had a screenshot of an email that Jake does, and I just love it. And it's a video of him going through the different scenarios and options they have. What if you did FHA? What if you did conventional? What if you did this grant program? And it's a video, but they can go back and reference it. And I love it. So I got copied on those, or I get copied on them. He runs through scenarios and then sends them an email with this video of him running through it. And then they can always go back and reference. And then I know too what that looks like. You got 10 minutes, girl.
I know, I'm gonna put you to.
Understanding nearby restaurants and markets and just being comfortable with the market. So we're talking about how you interact with them, but the number one thing you can do to get more familiar with the market is tons of listing alerts. You should probably have 25 plus listing alerts just coming to you so you get to know about the market. You will sell what you know about. So I started selling lots of trailers and condos because that's what I had my listing alerts for, because that's what my people could afford. So I was like, hey, anything in Utah County under 140. So I got all of those. And then that's what I sold. And, you know, it was super interesting. I moved into the neighborhood we're in now, and I had this lender. He's like, you're going to start selling these houses. I was like, I can't sell these houses. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to start to learn about it. And I remember Emily Moore. She was an agent that helped me out when I first got started. She had a model that she let me sit. And I was like, there's no way I can sell this house. I don't know these kind of people. And she's like, Angie, people call you because your name's on the sign. And then you know those people. I'm like, oh, that was a really good perspective. But so I moved into our house and I started my listing alert for everything in Utah County between 1 million and 2 million. And it was super interesting because that knowledge was so valuable, so that when the ladies in the neighborhood asked if I wanted to go to lunch, I had knowledge. I could speak to it, and enough knowledge that then I could tell you exactly what that house that she was living in was going to sell for. It was so funny because I'd been studying and watching it. Sometimes we get stuck in this small little area, but if you look at it and you watch it, you'll know it. That's also why buyers, when they can get in and look, it's good for them to look online. I don't want your feet in the door until you're qualified, but let's look online. That's totally fine. And then they're going to go, but I found the right one. I'm like, perfect. So call Jake. But it was so interesting because there wasn't anything in our neighborhood that had sold even. I couldn't comp it out at 1.3, but I knew it would sell at 1.3. I'm like, at 1.2, you'll have multiple offers and you'll probably sell it like, and at 1.3 is pretty solid. Like, I know that's a number. And then of course, we're like, well, we would like to list at 145. We list at 145. We get a couple people to the open house. Everybody thinks we're crazy. And we were 2 weeks. We started dropping. We get to 1.3. We're still showing, but now we've been on the market 60 days. We drop to 1.2. We get multiple offers. We close at 1.3. We sit across the table at the kitchen table signing the documents, and she goes, I'm sorry, Angie, we should have listened to you. You knew. I was like, all right. And she's so for her, she's talking about maybe selling the house that they're in now. So those market reports come to me. So what I have is anything that is, her new house is more like 1.5 to 1.7 out in Mapleton. So it's like, I have anything that's kind of like hers on an alert that comes to me. If it's an arrive home, I'm like, it's not really a match. But if there's anything that I think supports or validates a price that I think she wants to get, I text to her. And then this is the secret on your listing alerts. Make sure you don't just do active listing alerts. You can change the status to send you active, under contract, and sold. That way you can follow the cycle. That's really where your knowledge will come. And what's so cool is something will list and it's like 2.1. So I send it to her. I'm like, hey, this just hit the market. And then a few weeks later, I send her the price drop. Hey, this just took a price drop. Hey, this just went under contract. I still don't know what it's under contract for. And then, hey, it just sold. Now on the sold, you have to screenshot it because you can't just share your link. Like you have to send something else. So I just screenshot the sold price and then send that over. But that is super valuable. And every time she goes to look at a house, she still just calls me. And I know I don't have a buyer broker agreement with her right now, but at some point I did. No. But that's the thing is that you're the person who's giving them different information than the real estate agent that is living right next door. So Give them a reason to work with you, not because you're the funnest, not because you're the cutest, not because you drive the fanciest car. That's the same with when you're in an open house. If you can speak to some of those things, they'll be like, oh, they're different. I want to be with them. They know things I need to sit at the table with them. I need that. So super helpful. Hopefully that's helpful. Oh, I was going to give you guys one last tip before we hit ahas. Your MLS app, if you have it on, but go into a neighborhood and open it. Okay. Use the GPS that's in it. You can look online a ton, but if you drive into a neighborhood and you open it up, you'll be able to see what is active around you and you're sitting in front of it, right? So you can get a perspective of, why is this house still on the market? It doesn't make sense. But in the pictures, you couldn't see there's 3 cars up on the lawn, or the next door neighbor is breeding pit bulls, or whatever that is. And if you're going to go into a listing appointment, go early or go the day before and do that with your app. Drive that neighborhood because they know. So you pulled a comp that's down the street from them, but you don't really have an intimate knowledge of that comp, but they do. They went there last week for dinner. So you better be able to have some perspective. And that is something like the simplest thing you can do. Use that MLS app wherever you're at, just open it up and you'll be like, oh, okay, cool. And so that first year in real estate, if you are on Facebook or Instagram, get on the MLS. Every time you go to open social media, I want you to hear me in your mind being like, nope, open the MLS and scroll that instead. Okay, I promise.
So you're saying the app.
The Utah, yeah, utahrealestate.com. Go into search nearby. Search nearby. Yep. And if you click on search nearby.
Nearby.
Yep. Oh, yeah. It'll bring you in and you can move around. You can also change if it is under, if you go to property search instead, you can change if it's under contract. You are on as a buyer, you're not logged in yet,
Right.
which
I
is
haven't
still
actually
good.
signed up.
Well, then
But it'll look different.
it'll look slightly, but not tons. You'll be able to see solds. Yes. Nearby for sale. That's what starts you. So click on that. Yep. And that'll at least get you what's for sale, but you can move this around. So I might be in the grocery store line. I'm like, I wonder what's for sale over here. And then you can just hit list, be like, oh, that one's cute. Like, just get really comfortable with that.
And the nearby for sale is like, you're right there, like you said, at Winco.
And I'm like, what is it? Because then you want to know if the house comes on the market, if one of these condos comes on the market at $295, good price or bad price? Do you know?
That was fine.
That's a good price. Right here, maybe it's a little high, so now you know what, I don't really know.
I bet you're 285, 275. Well, it lists at 285. It'll sell at 275.
Okay. When I paid those, I wondered, I don't really like the ordinance. I will.
We're gonna pause on this, guys. Okay. Oh, you're so close. You're good. I just want ahas, and the reason I want to do ahas, if you don't know what they are, that's something you were like, that was worth it. And the reason ahas are so important for this class is because of you guys. What happens is you need to hear it 6 times to retain it 75%. So when you share an aha, it's going to solidify in your mind, but then it's also going to help you and you and you and you. So I want you guys, I need at least one aha from everybody, if not more, because I donated my time today. And if you didn't learn anything, then I shouldn't be here.
I give you like 10 ahas.
Well, let's hear them. Start throwing out. No, it doesn't have to be in any particular order. Yep.
So what I have loved.
Oh, wait, we got to pass this around because I want to record for people who didn't make it.
What I have loved getting from you, first of all, is your enthusiasm and the love that you have for not only what you're doing, but the people that you are helping, because that really is meaningful to me. Like, this is why we're here. This is what makes it worthwhile and meaningful. So I love that. I also love, you're an expert in the market, and you don't just get to be an expert in the market overnight. So, but when you're an expert in the market, you always have something to talk about. You always have something to say. You feel it passionately. You have good ideas. You want to help people with the knowledge that you have, right? So like, be an expert in the market and you'll always have some way to help somebody.
I love that. Was beautiful.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah, I'm Taylor. I would probably say like the scripting that you gave when when you were asking about when the right time to buy is, because that's just kind of a tricky situation. And so I got a lot of information from that, and to utilize the loan calculator on the MLS, but also to utilize all of the other information and data that's on there, because I didn't know about a lot of that, and that was really, really helpful. And I think that gives us tangible proof and gives someone the like logical reasoning behind it. Like, why wouldn't I sell? So, but yeah, I think that was all. And your passion. You're very passionate about it. And I think that,
It's a little crazy.
no, it's
Not for
good.
everybody, apparently less decisive than. Well, I'm Scarlett and I just love you. I love all your passion. I love how caring you are. But, you know, when you were
What's the
talking about,
action that you get from attending today? I want to know, what can you take and put and implement in your business?
I want to share the person that I've been trying to work with to help him get prepared to buy. And now I want to share them with you because I'm like, I am unqualified to do this. And no, it truly, you bring everything to the table. I bring a crumb. And honestly, I'm just,
But
I'm like,
I'm not
you're
against
an
people partnering,
encyclopedia.
because I do think what's hard is sometimes people try to hold on to everything because they don't want to split and split and split. But 100% of zero is zero. So don't be scared. So I want to actually give you kudos of that. Don't be scared to say, well, what if I only made 10% on this deal?
I wouldn't care if I
Because there's some
yeah.
value when you go, oh man, I know I'm brand new and I know I'm gonna, but however it be, because I know you have posting fees and you have KW fees and all the things, but go. The cool thing is whatever you learn, you get to keep, right?
I want what
Money comes and goes in our life,
Yeah.
but our knowledge, like nobody gets to take that from us. It's ours.
So is there a set limit on like transactions I've heard before you can be on a team, or is it?
So you do have to go through the coaching program, and that was a great question for Cameron. I will let him fill that.
Okay.
Mhm,
I'd
yeah.
like to have a chance to share my aha.
Yeah.
Do I need the mic?
I just think it's so great because it'll be recorded on. I just,
it when you're done.
Okay.
I think it's so valuable. I actually do still listen to a lot of the classes on. I just listened to it super fast. We were having that conversation.
Same.
Okay, so I typed this down and I bolded it. And when you said nothing is a waste, except every chance as an opportunity, I'm still in school. That just like hit my heart because I wake up every day so grateful for this opportunity just to learn, like you said. Like I'm coming to the greatest real estate brokerage, and the amount of people like you that are dedicating their time, they're volunteering, and every single time, we do Ignite. I'm just like, I am so grateful I did this, and I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for Cameron. And last time was Dan Kennedy and like everybody and Josh. Yeah, it's the coolest. Yeah.
Things in different ways, but they're successful in their own space.
Yeah.
With that, I want to share. I forget the pieces. What I want you to learn from that is authenticity, that you will be more successful in this business if you find somebody that you align with and can use their words and scripts instead of trying to be somebody you're not. And you will take pieces from all of them, but you will go further faster if you are authentic to you and not trying to be somebody else.
Well, it's kind of hard to go last because I was going to share what Sarah shared, but I am so inspired by your story. It helps me remember why we're doing this, kind of like Courtney said. And I loved how you talked about this as an internship. I mean, we do look at doctors who have residency and they've done so much more schooling than us. And I mean, I'm taking this with Ignite. I feel like this is totally an internship, but sometimes we think it's time to like be doing as well as the CEOs. It really is an internship in that I'm here to learn, not just to earn the money right now. So I loved your energy and all that you shared. It made me want to learn more about the market and be more knowledgeable about it and know what to do with the info we get from Dean's emails and maybe save those and compare them.
I think it would be interesting as a coaching group, you guys took the time to gather different data and shared what you learned and had a mastermind around data.
That's a question I have for you. I don't know if you plan to address it in the time that we have left or not, but I would love to know how you gather your information, because some of this looks like it's from Johnny's presentation and some of it looks like it's just things you pulled together.
And sometimes I'll see something like on Instagram and I screenshot it and I send it to my VA because I'm a mess when it comes to like keeping stuff. But I sent her something recently that was on, I got an email from the board, whether it was Central or Salt Lake or something that was about our situation or the lawsuit. And I just forwarded it on and keep it because it's going to go into our next email. So sometimes I'm just out and about looking at it. It's like, and you could do something even if all you did was screenshot and put it into a folder in your phone so that you have that when you go to pull it. I do use some of Johnny's, and some of it is like, I actually have to hide a lot of the slides because I like data and we'll talk and talk and talk. And it's too much. So I actually probably I'll do my slideshow and hide 50% by the time I actually get there. And then the next question is so you can take data to tell any story you want. So it might sound a little different depending on who we're talking to. So some of this information is valuable on a seller's perspective and some would be a buyer's perspective. But I might not share as much about why Utah is so great with a seller. Seller already thinks this stuff is worth so much money. And then you just validated why our market is so great. I might not share as much with them. I might choose which story that we're talking about depending on their need or their situation. Does that kind of make sense? And so, but when we talk about buyers, we do talk about that because buyers also are scared. They have every family member in their life telling them it's a stupid time to buy. Why would they do that? They bought their house for $30,000. There's no reason you should be out shopping right now. And so they're almost even more worried about looking stupid than even making the mistake. They don't want to look dumb to their family. So you have to help them understand why Utah is good to buy in. Why is it a good bet? For me too, we just reinvested back into Utah. So we had sold our investments and invested in Florida. So out in Florida, we have 2 fourplexes and 3 duplexes out there. And then this last year, so that whole spiel that I go through, I do that in our investor workshop and then talk about that we are buying back into Utah because I am betting on Utah. Like, I'm glad we went when we did. I needed to sell ours to get ours away from us because we couldn't let them go. We couldn't let anyone manage them while we were here. There's no way my husband was going to let that happen. And so I remember scrubbing the floor one day over at one of these condos and I was like, I should be showing a house right now and I'm scrubbing the floor. What am I doing? And that was the only way we could do it was to get it far enough away that we couldn't manage them. So I still managed 2 for my parents here and 3, 1 for my pops and 2 for us. But we've learned. All right. Good ahas, you guys. I feel like I had maybe a little bit more, but I'm not sure. You asked me a question. You said, are you going to cover this? Was it you? Did I?
Where to get market information.
Oh, yeah. And then on the MLS, let's see what else is on here. Because I don't think I have more. Learn the market, learn your clientele. We did talk about that already, just as far as you'll sell what you know, right? So so whenever you pull those listing alerts, mine come to me every morning at 4 a.m. Then they're there when I get there. And I don't do, you have the chance to have it send it to you instantly. I'm a mess. I can't stay focused. It cannot do that to me. If I have an active buyer, I might have it sent to me twice a day, but it takes me off my course every time that email comes in. So mine come in all at 4 a.m. I might look at them and I might not. I might just delete them. What's the worst case scenario? But when I started, I had one that sent me every listing in Utah County every day. And I looked at every home. And it's just fast. I'm just doing it on my phone, laying in bed. I'm a super romantic, looking at the MLS. But it gives me an idea. There's a couple of things I gain from that. I know how many homes hit the market every day. I can get a sense of if we're busy or slow. I can tell what's happening. The other thing is if I look at every single home, I think, is there anyone in my life that I could just share this with? So all of my touches are data. I'm sharing houses all the time. Not like, hey, I think you should buy it, but hey, this just came on the market in your neighborhood. Hey, look at this backyard. It's awesome. Hey, oh my gosh, check out that pool. I want that. Whatever it is. But it also, you will learn so much about how much stuff costs. You'll know, right? You'll just know. But you will sell what you know about. You'll be like standing in line at the grocery store and you'll talk about whatever it is that you know about. Oh my gosh, a house just hit the market in Leban for $139,000. Or I can't believe there's a house in Orem for $250. It must have foundation problems, like, or whatever it is. You'll learn why that one was $250 on Artisan. 8 years ago, it had foundation problems. It still does.
The MLS, to get those stats, do you just go to the statistics up at the top and then you go?
Yeah,
to the
so
daily snapshot?
what you do is you can actually do any search on the MLS. And once you do that search, then you can, from that search, go up to stats. Okay. And play with it. That's the other side, is you can play with that. The thing is that I can pull data for just Utah. I can do Utah County. I can do just this subdivision, because you're doing your search and then going up to statistical information. So the home sales graph has a lot of good information on it. The probably, I don't know. To be honest, I'd have to just play with it. That's all I'm doing with it too. On the MLS though, you guys, underneath help, I believe it is. Are you guys on MLS right now? Okay, under the help section, go to support center. I'm not positive. Yes. So go to support center. That is where all the tutorials are. You do not have to wait for a class at the MLS.
Just Googling youth art class on MLS statistics.
They have them recorded in here. You can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning when the kids are asleep. You don't have to wait for the classes. It'll teach you how to do listing alerts. It'll teach you how to do CMAs. It'll teach you how to do all of the stuff. And they're recorded. Just use theirs. They're like 3-minute videos, and you're like, they are game changers. It'll change your life. And I would just have one screen open here and the other screen open here, and I could watch, pause, and then do it on mine. Watch, pause, and then come over here. Play on that, like just block out 3 or 4 hours and just play and push on buttons and go like, how does this work? You can't really screw it up. Just explore it yourself. This is like your tool. It is like your pen if you were a writer. Like, it is your thing. Get really comfortable with MLS. The other one is get really comfortable with Utah County records.
Sorry.
I was like, you're good.
Like parcel map, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What do you
So when I start going, well, you'll just be surprised how much public information there is about stuff. So start with something, get a friend, don't ask them or tell them, just take their address and start to find out what you can about them.
Yes, I did that while I was in school. And
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
It is
You can figure
super
out-
interesting what was, it doesn't tell you like currently what is owed on it, but it can show you, hey, they refinanced back in 2018. Hey, it looks like they have a second mortgage. Hey, this is interesting. Oh, it's in a trust. Oh, like take your families, like use somebody you know and just start to work through like, what can I learn about it? You can click on there and actually see the deeds that transferred. It's super interesting. Like it's just that it'll help you in the future if you understand how it works. You don't have, it's not like you know a ton of stuff. It's just like you're getting comfortable with it. It's like if you had to ring somebody out and you never touched the register. It's hard. You want to be able to do it fast. You want to be able to go, okay, my first offer took me 8 hours to write. I can write an offer in about 3.5 minutes now. Like, it's just that you have to do the work. So
it also goes back to saying you sell what you know, right? So you talk about what you know, and if you're knowing these things and talking about these things, and people will start to look to you as a source of information, and it's just another way that you distinguish yourself. Like, I have neighbors, because I love Utah County parcel map. They'll call me and they'll be like, who lives at this address? And I'll be like, and then I can tell them so many things about that.
I couldn't come up with 200 people to send my 200 letters to. So your goal is to to get 200 people in your database. And the reason is because in the Red Book, the MREA, it talks about how for every every 12 people in your database, after you systematically communicate with them 36 times in a year, you should close 2 transactions. You'll have to hear that a few times to be able to like put that together. So their whole point is you got to get 200 in there. If you get 200, essentially there's no way if you do the things, you get 200, you have all of their contact information, and you systematically communicate to them 36 times in a year, you will close, you'll make your 100,000. That everybody has the same goal of 100,000. So, and that's real. Remember how I said you won't get it your first year. You have to start that though, and you have to start doing that because you won't get the results until the next year. You have to touch them 36 times before that happens. People you know right now, you got to keep talking to them. You got to keep asking. They're your. If you don't, you won't close them next year. People are like, oh, I want to get good before I tell people in my life this is what I'm doing. Don't fool yourself. There are people who want to work with you. And if you don't do it now, you're going to be behind another year. So you have to start now. The other thing is in Command, you guys have the chance to do the snapshots. That's super easy. Just putting them on a neighborhood snap, I think is what it's called. Super, super easy. Hunter or Cameron can help you with that. And it just comes once a month. Like I have one, like those are easy. They would just be for everybody in your database. It just tells them what's happening in the market around them once a month. And it still helps, but it doesn't replace your knowledge. So be careful because you can't automate your knowledge. You're going to have a conversation about it. So that's good, a good touch for them, but you should have alerts coming to you. And your database health. I don't know if you guys get to see that. That's a big deal. Oh, I forgot to tell you. That's what I did is I had to go around in my neighbors and I collected all of their names and addresses and they became part of my database because I wasn't involved in the culture as some people are. So I didn't have that connection. And I was like, so my neighbors all the way around, I'm like, they got my introductory letter because I needed to hit 200 to get the discount to mail at the time. Nope. I just needed another 20 addresses to hit my 200. That's horrible. I just looked them up on county records. So, and sooner or later we became in a relationship, but no, I was trying to graduate Ignite at the time. I was like,
Okay, so to me, this is like eating a big elephant, and I want to know what is the best way to manage everything, because it's like I can't do everything all at once, and I want to do everything all at once.
set the right expectation for yourself. So what would it look like? What would it look like if you talked to one new person a day? Can you do one?
Yeah.
Can you do 2?
Yeah.
Can you do 3?
Maybe not.
There's your number.
I don't
So
know.
set something that you know you can keep your commitment to yourself.
I can
The
do-
problem is we do this and we're like, oh, I got to talk to 20 people. And then we talk to 5 and we fail. And we're like, I suck. I don't want to do this.
I just wanna know
Don't do that.
What part do I focus on? Because there's so much knowledge. There's so much to learn. And I'm going,
Pick
I
one
break down
person in
into
your,
little
so just do one. Then if you looked through your database right now, is there one person that you could talk to? And then same thing, instead of doing 8 CMAs, do 1. Was it 10? Oh yeah. I will tell you, she came to one of our script. It wasn't even script. It was a call hour. So I was like, all right, call your database and ask them if they want a market report. I was like, your goal, your goal is 10. She got 10, but she'd never even done a listing alert. And I was like, sorry. So we had 10 CMAs to do. So all the script just sounded like, the script does just sound like, hey, I wonder if you can help me out. I'm doing some research and I want to get more involved in the market. Can I do a market report for you? Are you curious what your home is? Oh, no, it wasn't even that. Who do you know that might want to know what their home is worth? And they'd be like, but me, I want to know. Can you do it for me? And in an hour, she had 10. So you just have to call and ask. The thing is like people, they just want an agent that they can trust. They want you to have market knowledge and they want you to be able to negotiate on their behalf. They'll work with you over me if they already trust you.
Well, I need to run.
Good luck.
But
I
won't talk, 'cause
do
I
we-
need to share that information with you about that guy.
hope I could be of service. And sometimes I feel crazy.
No,
So.
it's not, me. I have to go, not you.
And this is always, you guys, we can learn a whole lot of things, but your 10-4, what Cameron talks about. The 10-4, maybe someone will hold you accountable to it, or maybe they won't. It doesn't matter because it's you, it's yours. This is your business. This is your life. You are not an employee at KW. This is your business. What the 10-4 is how you're going to actually be successful. I say 10-4 because that's what they called it when I was a kid. But I think they do it something different now. I don't know what they call it. Basically, every day you should be talking to 10 new people, adding 10 people to your database or updating them in the database, write 10 handwritten notes, and then view 10 homes a week. And that number matters because at the end of the month, if you do that, you'll have contacted 200 people. You'll have 200, that fancy number, in your database. You'll have sent 200 handwritten notes, and then you'll have viewed feet in the door 40 homes. And so remember when I said I was trying to collect the 200? I just did an announcement letter that said, hey, this is what's happening in our life. I'm getting into real estate. And I just wrote, I cheated. I used those 200 as my handwritten notes and sent them out so I could graduate, because that was my goal at the end of that month. Now, I also, that first year, good luck, you're amazing. I took Ignite and graduated that first year, but when my business really took off is because the next year on my anniversary, I took Ignite again and did the homework, and then my business really launched. I was ready to hear it. I had done my 36 touch. I had been, because you're like, I have all this stuff. How do I do all of this stuff? You don't need all 36 touches. Do one. Send your introductory letter. I personally believe a letter like that is so valuable because it forces you to collect the data. It gives you something to connect with people about, and then you can follow up after. So all of a sudden, you just got 4 touches without having to do anything. Yeah.
Tell me if you think this is weird. So 3 of us in here have seniors graduating, 4 of us from high school this year. We're getting a lot of graduation announcements. What if we did something similar to that? Like, this is my graduation announcement, but I'm not graduating. I'll just say like, hey, same idea, send a picture of me and just write on the back, like, this is what I'm doing now. This is my experience. What would you say in this announcement letter? Because I don't want to tell people, hey, I'm in real estate now, like total newbie, don't know what I'm doing, use me. You know what I mean?
Rich sent something for that. And I have it on here somewhere, but he sent copy of announcement letter. Look, congratulations. But like you could take from that what you wanted, but it's just like this huge congratulation letter. Congratulations, you opened my letter. Phew, I was hoping you would.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I read that one. What would you say, Angie?
So I am always a picture believer. I stick pictures in all the letters. And ours aren't that. I wonder if I can get to it. I don't think I can because I'm on his. Let's see what I can find.
Send that on his